ကိုကိုကိုအပြစ်တင်မိတယ်နောင်တရည်လည်းရတယ်မမီအမြဲတမ်းနံပါတ်1ဖြစ်ချင်ခဲ့တဲ့နန်းရဲ့အတ္တတွေကိုလည်းကိုအပြုံး
What if the greatest tragedy in this story was never betrayal itself, but realizing the truth only after losing everything? And what if the people who spent years fighting each other suddenly discovered that they had all been victims of their own pride, fear, and silence? Before we begin, tell us in the comments, do you think Kochi deserves forgiveness after everything that happened? Or are some mistakes simply impossible to erase? The episode opens with a painful silence. For the first time in a long while, there are no arguments, no accusations, no desperate attempts to defend old decisions. Only memories remain, and memories are often far more painful than reality itself. Kochi sits alone, staring at the family photographs that survived years of chaos. Pictures of happier days, pictures of promises, pictures taken before jealousy, misunderstandings, and pride destroyed the lives of everyone involved. His eyes remain fixed on a single photograph. Nan smiling, their daughter standing between them, a family that once seemed unbreakable, but now only fragments remain. For years, Kochi convinced himself that he was protecting everyone, protecting his family, protecting his responsibilities, protecting people who depended on him. But now he finally understands something heartbreaking. Sometimes people do not destroy their loved ones through hatred. Sometimes they destroy them through indecision, through hesitation, through refusing to choose, and through believing they can save everyone without sacrificing anyone. He slowly closes his eyes. Tears begin falling silently, not because he wants sympathy, but because regret has finally become stronger than pride. I thought I could protect everyone, he whispers, but I ended up hurting everyone. Elsewhere, Nan is beginning a new chapter of her life. For years, she lived carrying anger, carrying disappointment, carrying the feeling that her sacrifices had never been appreciated. She fought for her marriage. She fought for her child. She fought for a future that slowly disappeared in front of her eyes. Yet despite all her suffering, she has changed. The woman who once wanted to be number one in everything now understands that life is not a competition, love is not ownership, and happiness cannot be forced. She looks at her daughter sleeping peacefully beside her. A small smile appears on her face, because she finally understands what truly matters. Not revenge, not proving herself right, but protecting the next generation from inheriting the wounds of the previous one. However, healing does not erase pain. It simply teaches people how to live alongside it. Meanwhile, Ai is preparing to leave. She knows her place in Kochi's life has always been complicated. Their connection was real, their emotions were sincere, but timing turned love into guilt and affection into regret. She remembers every moment they shared together, every conversation, every promise, every dream they imagined. Yet she does not regret loving him, because despite the suffering, she believes some people enter our lives not to stay forever, but to teach us who we truly are. She writes a final letter, a letter she never intended to send, a letter filled not with accusations, but gratitude. She thanks Kochi for the happiness they once shared. She apologizes for the pain that followed, and she finally accepts something she refused to accept for years. Not every love story is meant to become a family. Some love stories exist only to transform people, and then quietly disappear. At the same time, viewers begin noticing something unexpected. Lily has completely vanished from public life. No live streams, no dramatic appearances, no emotional confessions, nothing. It is almost as if she never existed. But audiences know this drama too well. Silence never means peace. Silence usually means preparation. Inside a small apartment far away from the city, Lily sits near a window watching the rain. For the first time, she looks calm, not unstable, not desperate, not obsessed, just tired, very tired. Years of chasing love, years of seeking validation, years of wanting to become someone's priority, All of it exhausted her soul. She remembers the countless times she fought against women she considered rivals, the countless nights she convinced herself that persistence would eventually earn happiness. But now she understands the truth. Love cannot be taken, love cannot be negotiated, and love cannot survive if it destroys the dignity of the person seeking it. For a moment, she smiles sadly. Perhaps this realization arrived too late, but at least it arrived. Suddenly, her phone vibrates. An unknown number. She hesitates, then answers. A voice speaks. A voice from the past, one she never expected to hear again. And immediately her expression changes, because the chapter she believed was ending may only be beginning. The voice says calmly, "You're trying to escape the story. But the story isn't finished with you yet." Lily remains silent, because deep inside, she knows this person is right. Some secrets have still not been revealed. Some truths remain buried, and some people continue watching from the shadows. Elsewhere, Kochi receives devastating news. An old investigation file has been reopened. Documents connected to Lily's case, medical records, financial transactions, messages that were previously ignored. And for the first time, authorities begin asking questions nobody wanted to answer. Was Lily really responsible for everything, or was she merely the most visible victim in a much larger game? The possibility terrifies everyone, because if Lily was manipulated, then who benefited? Who controlled the narrative? Who gained power while everyone else was fighting each other? And more importantly, who still remains hidden? As night falls, Kochi visits a place he has avoided for years. A small garden, filled with flowers. Flowers that Nan once cared for. Flowers that symbolized hope. Flowers that survived every season. Standing there, Kochi finally speaks openly, not to anyone nearby, but to himself. "I wanted to be water. I wanted to help flowers bloom. But somehow, I became fire." Those words carry the weight of years. Years of mistakes, years of selfishness, years of delayed realizations. And perhaps for the first time in this story, Kochi truly changes, not because circumstances forced him, but because he finally understands the damage he caused. Yet destiny is not ready to grant peace, because elsewhere, someone opens an old box. Inside lies evidence, photographs, voice recordings, letters, and a document containing names, several names, including Kochi, including Nan, including I, and including someone everyone believed had disappeared forever. The mysterious person smiles, because they understand one thing. The truth is finally approaching, and when the truth arrives, no relationship will remain the same. The following morning feels strangely peaceful, almost unnatural. People laugh again, children play, families gather. Life appears normal, but hidden beneath this fragile happiness is uncertainty, because everyone senses that unresolved secrets never stay buried forever. Nan receives a package. No sender, no explanation, only her name written carefully across the envelope. Inside, she discovers several photographs, old photographs, photographs from years ago, photographs connected to moments she barely remembers. But one image changes everything. Kochi, Lily, and another unidentified person, standing together, long before the conflicts everyone knows, long before marriages collapsed, long before accusations destroyed lives, which means one thing: someone has been lying for years, and the entire timeline people believed may be incomplete. Nan feels her hands trembling, because she understands immediately. This is not random. Someone intentionally sent these photographs. Someone wants the past exposed. Someone wants old wounds reopened. Meanwhile, I finally makes her decision. She will leave, not because she stopped loving, but because she finally learned to love herself. She understands now that constantly fighting for a place in someone's life eventually destroys personal dignity, and she refuses to continue living in emotional shadows. Before leaving, she meets Kochi one last time. No anger, no accusations, no tears, only honesty. She smiles gently and says, "We spent years asking why we suffered, but maybe suffering was the lesson." Kochi cannot answer, because he realizes she is right. Some people enter our lives to stay. Others arrive simply to teach us what we should never repeat. As they part ways, both feel sadness, but also relief, because closure is sometimes more beautiful than reunion. At the same time, Lily receives another call. This time, the person reveals shocking information. Years ago, decisions were made without her knowledge. People manipulated circumstances. People influenced relationships. People benefited from misunderstandings. And perhaps the greatest tragedy of all, no one was entirely innocent. Everyone contributed. Everyone remained silent. Everyone chose pride over communication. Lily begins crying, not because she feels betrayed, but because she finally understands that the enemy she fought for years may never have existed. Perhaps everyone was simply broken people trying to survive. Perhaps everyone lost, and perhaps there were never any winners,
only survivors. Yet just when viewers begin believing the story is moving toward healing, a final twist arrives. Authorities discover another hidden file, a file containing recent surveillance information. Someone has continued monitoring the major characters, even after everything ended. Recent photographs, recent movements, recent conversations. Someone is still watching. Someone is still collecting information. And someone is waiting for the perfect moment. The final scene shows an unknown figure sitting inside a dark room. Photographs cover the walls. Kochi, Nan, Lily, their daughter, everyone connected to the story. The stranger slowly pins a new photograph onto the board, then speaks quietly. You think this story ended, but this was only the beginning. The camera moves closer. The stranger smiles and whispers, flowers do not only bloom. Sometimes they burn. The screen fades to black, and the audience is left with one terrifying question. Was this ever a love story, or was it always a story about people destroying themselves while searching for love? To be continued.